He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. Jim Elliot's words land like a bell in a noisy room. They remind the heart that life is always an exchange. Attention for attention, trust for control, peace for panic, faith for fear. Overthinking often feels like maturity, like caution, like being a person who cares. But many times it's simply fear wearing a smarter outfit. It keeps the mind busy so the soul doesn't have to be brave. Overthinking promises that if you replay enough, predict enough, and analyze enough, you can avoid disappointment. Yet the more you try to grip the future, the more the present slips through your fingers. Peace gets postponed. Joy gets delayed. Progress gets stuck in almost. The result is a tired mind and a frustrated spirit, even while life keeps moving. Trusting God in everyday life doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. Trust means choosing who carries the weight that was never meant for your shoulders. In Isaiah 26:3, we're pointed toward that steady place with the promise, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee." That peace isn't a reward for having every answer. It's a gift for staying anchored while questions remain. God is not asking you to be careless. He is inviting you to stop trying to be God. If your thoughts have been racing, if your heart has been tense, if you've been living in constant what if, this can be a turning point. Not by forcing yourself into calm, not by pretending you don't care, but by making a decision about leadership. The loudest thought doesn't deserve the throne. Fear doesn't get to drive. Worry doesn't get to write the story. Faith can take the wheel again, not as a soft wish, but as a strong choice. The goal isn't to silence thinking. The goal is to train it. A trained mind learns to notice a worry without worshiping it. It learns to face a challenge without spiraling into worst-case scenes. It learns to make plans with wisdom and then release what it cannot control. That's what everyday trust looks like. Not dramatic, not perfect, but steady. It shows up in ordinary moments. When you open your inbox, when you hear a tone in someone's voice, when bills stack up, when plans change, when the clock moves faster than your confidence, trust whispers, "Do the next right thing," and lets God handle the rest. So let's start at the place where overthinking lives, the loop. The loop is that mental circle that keeps returning to the same fear, the same mistake, the same conversation, the same possibility of failure, the same need to prove yourself. It feels productive because it's active, but it often produces no movement. It drains energy without building momentum. It keeps you occupied while your purpose waits for you to show up. Overthinking isn't wisdom. Wisdom helps you see clearly and choose a next step. Overthinking clouds your view and delays your obedience. Wisdom asks, "What is true and what should I do now?" Overthinking asks, "What else could go wrong? And how do I prevent every possible outcome?" One builds character, the other builds exhaustion. Here's the breakthrough. Courage is not manufactured by more thinking. Courage is formed through movement. That's why Dale Carnegie said, "Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage." Action doesn't mean rushing. It means faithful movement. It means you stop negotiating with anxiety and start cooperating with purpose. A small step taken in trust is more powerful than a perfect plan trapped in your head. Overthinking loves perfect timing. Faith works with the time you have. Overthinking waits until the road is guaranteed. Trust walks while the road is still unfolding. Overthinking demands certainty before it begins. Trust begins with the certainty that matters most. God is present, God is good and your life is not random. Maybe you're thinking, but if I stop overthinking, what if I miss something important? Let's be honest. Overthinking doesn't make you more prepared. It makes you more tense. It doesn't protect your heart. It tightens it. It doesn't sharpen focus. It scatters it. Real focus comes from clarity. And clarity comes when you accept that you are not meant to carry tomorrow on your shoulders. In 2 Timothy 1:7, we're reminded what God actually gives. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. A sound mind is not a mind that never feels pressure. A sound mind is a mind that refuses to be ruled by fear. It can feel concern without falling into panic. It can consider risk without becoming paralyzed. It can hear anxious thoughts and still choose obedience. That's the shift for today. Not from thinking to not thinking, but from fear thinking to faith thinking. From replaying problems to choosing a step. From obsessing over outcomes to honoring God with obedience. One brave step can interrupt 1,000 anxious thoughts because action turns the mind from imagination to reality. Choose one area where the loop has been loudest, the task you keep postponing, the decision you keep delaying, the message you keep rewriting, the goal you keep pushing into later. Bring it into the light with one simple question. What is the next right action you can take within the next day? Not the whole plan, not the final result, just the next faithful step. Then do it with a short prayer in your heart. Lord, I trust you enough to move. As you move, you'll notice something strong at the same time. Confidence grows behind action. Peace grows behind surrender. Momentum grows behind obedience. The mind that felt like a crowded room begins to feel like a quiet road again, not because every problem disappeared, but because God is leading and you are finally following. Control can feel like safety. The tighter the grip, the calmer the nerves for a moment. Yet that calm is expensive because it demands you keep gripping forever. Everyday trust in God offers a different kind of strength. Not the strength of clenched fists, but the strength of open hands. And open hands are not empty hands. They're ready hands, ready to receive direction, ready to work, ready to release what was never yours to manage. A lot of people here trust God and assume it means doing nothing, waiting for life to fix itself, or hoping for a miracle while responsibilities pile up. That isn't faith. That's avoidance dressed in spiritual language. Trust doesn't erase effort. Trust puts effort in its proper place. You show up, you act wisely, you stay faithful to what's in front of you, and you stop trying to control the outcomes that belong to God. Here's the shift that changes everything. Responsibility is holy, but control is not. Responsibility asks, what is mine to do today? Control asks, how do I guarantee tomorrow? Responsibility moves you forward with steps. Control traps you in planning, second guessing, and fear of what people might think. When you hand God the pen, you're not throwing away your goals. You're letting Him write the parts you cannot see while you live the chapter you're in with integrity. That's why the way you plan matters. Stephen R. Covey once said, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities." That line is practical, yes, but it's also spiritual. It reminds you that your life is shaped less by big promises and more by daily choices. Trusting God looks like choosing the right priorities, even when emotions beg you to chase noise. It looks like making room for prayer, for scripture, for work, and for the people you love, because what you feed grows stronger and what you ignore grows quieter. Still, Overthinking will try to hijack even good priorities. It will whisper that you must foresee every obstacle before you begin, that one mistake will ruin everything, that you're behind, that you're not enough. Trust answers with a calmer voice. Do your part, then let God do His. You don't have to micromanage tomorrow to be faithful today. You can be diligent without being dominated by worry. You can be serious about your future without treating your future like a fragile glass you must protect at every turn. In Psalm 55:22, we're gently urged to loosen the weight in our chest with the promise, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and He shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved." Notice what that verse doesn't say. It doesn't say you'll never have burdens. It says you don't have to carry them alone. It doesn't say you'll never be shaken by life. It says God can sustain you so you won't be moved from who you are and who you belong to. So what does it mean, practically, to cast your burden? It means naming what is too heavy. It means refusing to rehearse disaster as if rehearsing could prevent it. It means stopping the habit of punishing yourself with what-if scenarios. It means turning anxious predictions into prayerful decisions. It means choosing surrender again when your mind tries to take the burden back 5 minutes later. And it means remembering that God does not shame you for being human. He strengthens you for being faithful. That surrender is not weakness. It is leadership. It is spiritual maturity. It is the decision to live from faith instead of fear. A person who trusts God can work hard without becoming harsh. They can pursue goals without turning goals into idols. They can care deeply without being crushed by responsibility. They can hear criticism without letting it define them. They can face uncertainty without losing their identity. They can keep their heart soft and their standards strong. Maybe your life right now feels like a juggling act. Deadlines, relationships, finances, health, and expectations can pile up fast. The temptation is to keep adding more, to prove you can handle it all, to earn peace through perfection. Trust invites you to ask a better question. Which of these is truly mine to carry? And which of these have I been holding because I'm scared to let go? Some burdens are assigned to you for action. Others are assigned to God for surrender. Mixing them up is how people burn out while still calling it responsibility. Handing God the pen means you bring your plans to Him without demanding that He sign them. You bring your hopes to Him without insisting He meet your timeline. You bring your work to Him without turning success into your identity. You do what you can with excellence and humility, and you leave the results in His hands. That is not laziness. That is alignment. It is the soul saying, I will be faithful and I will not be frantic. This is where peace becomes possible even while the work continues. You can prepare and rest. You can build and still remain gentle. You can make decisions without needing reassurance because the foundation is not your control, it is God's care. Trust doesn't make you careless, it makes you steady. It turns your attention from imagined disasters to obedience. It teaches you to take the next step, not the next 100 steps. So take the next step with a calm heart. Decide what you will do in the next 24 hours, the action you can take, the conversation you can have, the task you can begin. Then, with seriousness, release what you cannot fix tonight. Let God carry what you cannot carry. Trust God enough to stop arguing with the future. Trust Him enough to be faithful in the present. That is not passive faith. That is courageous trust. And it will carry you, one steady choice at a time today. A life of trust rarely arrives as a sudden burst of confidence. It grows the way a tree grows, quietly, steadily, by repeated contact with what is good and true. Overthinking spreads fast when your days have no rhythm. When life feels unstructured, the mind tries to create order by running scenarios, replaying conversations, and scanning for danger. That noise can feel like preparation, but it often replaces obedience. It keeps you busy without moving you forward, and it leaves you tired before you even begin. A trust routine is one of God's practical gifts because it gives your heart a place to return. It isn't a rigid schedule meant to impress anyone. It's a steady rhythm that trains your attention and protects your peace. The mind follows whatever you feed it. If the first thing you consume each day is stress, comparison, and urgency, your thoughts will sprint. If the first thing you receive is truth, your thoughts start to walk again. Trust becomes more natural when your day has a spiritual home base, a quiet beginning that points your mind toward God. James Clear captured this with a line that is both simple and unsettling. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Goals matter, but goals don't carry you through ordinary hours. Systems do. A trust routine is a spiritual system. It gives your attention a track to follow when fear tries to shove you into the ditch. It keeps you from reinventing your faith every time your emotions change, because your life already has a rhythm that points you back to God. Faith becomes steadier when it becomes practiced, not as a performance, not as a checklist, but as a relationship you return to again and again. The point isn't to prove strength. The point is to stay close enough to hear God clearly. Trust grows when your heart has a daily place to land, scripture that speaks into real decisions, and prayer that is honest, direct, and personal. That is where the soul stops begging for control and starts receiving direction. You don't have to make every moment dramatic, you just have to keep coming back. Overthinking often hijacks the middle of the day. One unexpected message, one delay, one awkward moment, and the mind starts building an entire future out of a single event. Trust interrupts that spiral by asking a better question. What is the next faithful step? Not the next 10 steps, not the whole plan, just the next one. In Matthew 6:34, Jesus brings you back to the ground you're standing on with the reminder, "Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof." That isn't permission to be careless. It's a call to stop borrowing tomorrow's weight and dragging it into today's hands. A trust routine also changes how you handle pressure. Instead of letting stress become your leader, you learn to treat it as a signal. Pressure can remind you to check what you're carrying and to return to prayer as a first response. Over time, prayer stops being something you do only when you're desperate. It becomes how you stay connected. Connection changes everything. When you're connected, you can respond with wisdom instead of reacting with fear. You can pause, choose your words, and take a step that honors God and protects your peace. This doesn't mean your days become easy. It means your days become guided. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of God in the middle of them. When your mind tries to sprint, your rhythm helps you slow down. When emotions surge, your rhythm reminds you of what is true. When confidence dips, your rhythm brings you back to the source of strength. The world will always offer noise, urgency, and endless opinions. Trust is the decision to keep returning to the voice that steadies you, even when everything around you feels loud. As this rhythm grows, be honest about where you tend to lose yourself. Some people vanish into screens. Some hide inside endless planning. Some chase approval until their soul feels hollow. Trust doesn't shame you for those habits. It challenges you to replace them. A routine is not only about adding good things, it is also about removing what drains you. So God's guidance isn't drowned out by competing voices. Sometimes the most spiritual decision you can make is to stop feeding the thoughts that keep you stuck. Consistency matters more than intensity. A single perfect day won't transform your life, but steady days will. Returning to God in the morning makes drifting by noon less likely. Pausing during the day makes panic less powerful. Ending the day by handing God what you didn't finish makes tomorrow's worries less likely to invade your sleep. Trust deepens when release becomes normal. The mind learns a new habit, returning to truth, returning to prayer, returning to obedience. Even your evenings can become a quiet sanctuary. Overthinking loves to review the day like a courtroom, putting you on trial. Trust reviews the day like a conversation with a father who loves you. It notices what went well and gives thanks. It notices what went wrong and asks for grace. It notices what remains undone and hands it over. Rest is not quitting, it is stewardship. You are allowed to stop replaying and start releasing. God holds everything. If you want to stop overthinking, don't only fight thoughts. Build a life that makes trust more likely. Shape a rhythm that keeps pulling you back to God's presence. Let your days be marked by devotion and diligence, not by panic. Step by step, your mind will learn a new habit, returning. And when returning becomes your habit, trust becomes your home. Days don't always cooperate with your best intentions. You can wake up determined to trust God, steady your mind, and move forward with quiet confidence. And then life throws a sharp turn. A plan collapses, a message stings, a deadline tightens, a misunderstanding lands like a weight in your chest. In those moments, overthinking tries to reclaim the microphone, replaying, predicting, defending, panicking, because thinking can feel safer than risking another disappointment. But this is where trust becomes real. Not in the calm hours when everything is aligned, but in the sideways hours when your emotions are loud and the road feels uncertain. Trust in real time is courageous because it refuses to let fear run the day. It doesn't pretend you're fine. It chooses a faithful response while you're still feeling the pressure. Courage often gets misunderstood. People imagine it as a fearless mood or a flawless performance, yet courage is simpler and more honest than that. Brené Brown wrote that courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. That kind of courage looks like staying present when you'd rather disappear, speaking with gentleness when you'd rather explode, admitting you need help when pride says you should handle it alone, and taking the next step even when confidence feels thin. Overthinking will try to talk you out of showing up. It will whisper that you need more certainty before you act, more reassurance before you decide, more clarity before you move. Trust answers with something steadier. Do what is right in front of you and let God hold what you can't control. When the day goes sideways, the goal is not to rebuild a perfect plan in 10 minutes. The goal is to stay faithful in the next 10 minutes. That faithfulness is practical. It might mean responding slowly instead of reacting quickly. It might mean choosing one task and finishing it instead of bouncing between worries. It might mean asking a question instead of assuming the worst. It might mean stepping away from the urge to prove yourself and returning to the work God has actually given you. Trust doesn't demand that the storm stops immediately. Trust demands that your heart doesn't become the storm. Here's the truth. A difficult day does not mean you failed. A difficult day means you're human in a world that doesn't always make sense. God is not shocked by your stress. He is not disgusted by your weakness. He meets you in it and he leads you through it. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus speaks directly to the exhausted heart with an invitation that still holds power today. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That rest is not escape. It's strength you can lean on when your legs feel shaky and your thoughts feel loud. Rest in Christ also guards you from fear-based decisions. When anxiety rises, it's easy to choose the quickest relief instead of the wisest path. You might send the heated reply, quit too soon, numb out, or compromise what you know is right just to stop the discomfort. Trust pauses long enough to remember who you are. It remembers that God's guidance doesn't vanish because the day is messy. It remembers that your calling is bigger than your mood and your future is bigger than this moment. A sideways day is also a test of identity. Overthinking whispers, if this went wrong, maybe you're wrong. Trust replies, one moment doesn't define a life. Your worth is anchored deeper than a bad conversation, a missed opportunity, a delay, or a mistake. When your identity is anchored, you can receive correction without collapsing. You can face uncertainty without spiraling, and you can hear criticism without becoming bitter. You can forgive faster, not because the hurt was small, but because you refuse to let bitterness become your future. Even when you feel embarrassed, bring it to God quickly. Confess what needs confessing, receive mercy, and start again. Shame says hide. Grace says come closer and rise today still. Trust changes how you interpret delays too. Overthinking treats waiting like a threat. Trust treats waiting like training. Waiting teaches patience, humility, focus, and persistence. Qualities you will need for the future you keep praying about. When the day goes sideways, it may be tempting to assume God has stepped away, but often God is doing something quieter, strengthening your character, sharpening your discernment, and teaching you to walk without demanding constant proof. So what do you do when the storm hits at noon? You return to what is solid. You speak to God honestly, not with polished phrases, but with real words. You take one obedient action. You choose integrity over impulse. You refuse to punish yourself with endless replay. You may not be able to change the whole day, but you can change the direction of your next decision, and that is more powerful than you think. Sometimes the most faithful move is to reach out to a trusted person, ask for prayer, and keep going without making the moment your master. This kind of trust is not soft, it is resilient. It is the decision to keep your heart open when life tries to harden it. It is the decision to keep loving when disappointment tempts you to withdraw. It is the decision to keep building when setbacks tempt you to quit. It is the decision to keep walking with God even when you cannot see far ahead because you trust His character more than your circumstances. And when the day finally ends, you don't need to replay it like a judge. You can place it back into God's hands like a child. Let the lessons remain, but let the shame go. Let the growth stay, but let the fear go. Tomorrow will have its own responsibilities, but you will meet them with the same simple, powerful choice. Show up, stay faithful, and trust the God who never stops carrying you. If today felt messy, that doesn't mean it was meaningless. God can use a hard hour to build a stronger heart, and He can turn a heavy moment into holy ground. The world trains you to measure life by speed and applause, but heaven measures it by faithfulness, quiet, steady, real. So don't demand perfection from yourself to earn God's nearness. Bring Him the unfinished parts, the unanswered questions, and the places where courage felt small. He is not waiting to condemn you. He is waiting to strengthen you. And when you close your eyes tonight, let this be the final truth that settles the noise. God is still holding you, and He will not let go.